Well, good morning. With as much caffeine as is in Portland, that should have been a lot more enthusiastic. You should be vibrating out of your chair. So let's try that again. Good morning. There we go. That's much, much better. All right. So my name is Paul, and I'm super excited to be here this morning to talk to you about information security. Jim mentioned earlier, but make sure. There it goes. Because I've only got 10 minutes. Information security is extremely dense. So there's no way I'm going to be able to get through all of it. So please submit any questions, because we might have time to take those either. Submit those questions to the sessions page. Also, because I've got a whole bunch of content to go through, I'm going to talk really, really fast. So if you saw last year's presentation I did, this is the 10-minute version. So I got to go. So if somebody were to say, okay, sum up information security in just 2 words, for me, that would be minimizing risk. Why is the clicker not working? Maybe? Clicker work. There, minimizing risk. Now I have to do this way. So what do I mean by risk? Hey, there we go. Risk is what lies at the intersection of threats, assets, and vulnerabilities. Clear as mud? Yeah, okay. So what's an asset? Well, an asset are your valuables. It's anything that you need to protect. That can be people, there we go. People, it can be property, and usually in terms of information security, it's information and data. It can also be your systems. All right? She's already laughing at me. Then the next thing, threats, there we go. A threat then is anything bad that can happen to your assets. Okay, either by accident or on purpose. We usually think of a threat as an active threat or an intentional threat, but accidental threats are just as bad. So if our assets are things we need to protect, a threat then is what we need to protect against. Now, if I happen to mention the word, there we go, threat agent or threat actor, that's simply someone that's trying to exploit a vulnerability to cause a threat to occur to your assets. So vulnerability. What is a vulnerability? This is not working. There we go. A vulnerability then is simply a hole, a shortcoming somewhere in your systems, your applications, something that allows a threat to occur to your asset. So I want to use a quick analogy and to help kind of solidify this definition of risk. So let's say that you are the asset, because all of you are assets to both higher ed and this community. Now let's say then that the vulnerability is a holy umbrella, not a whole umbrella, but an umbrella with lots of holes in it. And let's say then that the threat is you getting wet. So what lies at the intersection of you as the asset? You don't want to get wet, but you have holes in your umbrella. What can happen? What can happen if you go outside with a holy umbrella? You could get wet. Why? Because it could rain, right? The risk is rain. You see where I'm going with this. All right. Now there's one piece of information, critical information that I left out earlier. Let's say, we'll continue this analogy. Let's say that it's 5 o'clock on a Friday, 80 degrees, beautiful outside. You have a hole in your umbrella, you're going to walk home, you have no plans for the evening, and as you're walking home, it starts to rain. How big of a deal is that? No plans for the evening. Not a big deal, right? Let's say instead you're leaving work and you're going to a $1,000 plate fundraiser. You're wearing your nicest outfit and you're wearing some shoes that are extremely expensive and are not waterproof. Now, how big of a deal is it? Really big deal. All right, so that piece of information I left off, go back, is the impact that a threat has on an asset. So for the rest of my 7 minutes, we're going to assume then that risk is the potential for something bad to happen to your asset because of a threat exploiting a vulnerability against that asset multiplied by the impact of that threat against your asset. All right? So then minimizing risk is lowering any of the variables in this equation. If we lower the number of threats, we minimize the risk. If we lower the number of assets, we minimize risk. If we lower the impact, we minimize the risk. Make sense? Okay, so why does this matter to you? All of us in here work in some way with or for higher education, correct? Yeah. All right? We have a lot of extremely valuable assets. I mean, think about it. We provide internet access to millions of students, faculty, and staff. We have massive network capacity and massive uptime, right? Who's been on campus when the network was down? It's horrible, and the students are in an uproar. Right? So we have massive uptime. And along with that, we have massive amounts of computing power. If you're a research institution, you might have your own data center with your own supercomputers. But even if you're not, think about all the machines and connected devices that your students and your faculty bring to campus. If you are someone looking to run a botnet or Bitcoin mining, just think about how valuable massive network capacity and massive computing power is. All right? Now, who can go get a .edu domain? Can just anybody go get one? No, you have to be what? You have to be a verified institution of education to get one. Because of that, historically, historically, search engines have given higher rankings to those results that have links from .edu. Along with that, if we have spam coming out of our networks, we're given the benefit of the doubt. We're not immune, but we're given the benefit of the doubt that we're going to take care of that pretty quickly. So we often don't get blacklisted that fast. So if you're someone looking to run like a black market SEO campaign, or you're going to send some spam, having access to that .edu is going to be extremely valuable. Our brands and our reputations are an asset, both online and in the real world. Who here runs social media? Your social media accounts are extremely valuable. Think about it. If suddenly the official verified Twitter account for your sports team was officially endorsing some third-party product, how valuable that would be. Now, beyond that, we also have personally identifiable information, we have sensitive personal information. If you're connected to a med school or a hospital, you might have sensitive health information. If you're a research institution, you might have confidential intellectual property. There goes export control data and national security interests. We have a ton of extremely valuable assets. That's why we are often a target. In 2018, there were close to 6,500 reported breaches, with an average cost of $3.6 million per breach. You do not want to be the source of the breach. All right, so how do we do this? How do we protect ourselves? How do we protect our university assets? Well, the first thing is you have to know your assets. You can't protect what you don't know you have. So you have to organize it. You have to catalog it. And you have to be intimate, there it is, with all that data. You have to know how you're getting it, what you have, where it's stored, how it's stored, and where it's going. How many of you allow your users to create forms and collect data? I believe Marianne, wherever she is doing a presentation tomorrow on gravity forms. You have to keep a close eye on what to allow your users to collect. The last thing you want to do is have a breach and then discover they're collecting social security numbers that you didn't know of, because then you couldn't protect it correctly. All right, one of the first terms you're probably going to come across with, or one of the first concepts you're going to come across with, is a term called defense in depth. This is the long version, but instead I want to use an analogy because I think it makes a little more sense. Tonight, we're going to Oaks Amusement Park. So let's pretend we're going to play a carnival game. Now let's say the carnival game has a board, a round board, and it's got a hole in it, it's spinning. If it's set up vertically, it's spinning. You're given 3 bean bags, and your goal to win the prize is to get one of the bean bags through the hole. How hard is that? Not hard, it's hard, but it's not impossible, right? All right, let's say instead of one board, it's 2 boards. Both, one stacked one in front of the other, both spinning in the opposite direction, hole in slightly different location. Now how hard is it?
Much harder.
Much harder, right? But is it impossible? No, I can watch, I can analyze, I can see where the holes line up, and if I time my throw just right, I can make it through both holes. Well, let's say it's not 2, it's 3, it's 4, it's 5, it's 7. 7 boards, all stacked one in front of the other, all spinning the opposite direction, hole in a slightly different location. Now how hard is it for me to get my one bean bag through all the holes? Really exponentially harder, right? That's defense in depth. Defense in depth is taking layers of defense and stacking them one after the other with the acknowledgement that every layer has a hole, it has a weakness. But by stacking them, then we minimize the potential for that threat agent to navigate their way through all of those layers. We're slowing them down. Now, so far, this analogy has been that of a single or target attack. You've got a threat agent analyzing a target, single target, looking at that landscape that they can attack and figuring out how to get through. An automated attack, instead, is like somebody shows up with an automatic beanbag gun and just lays waste to the game. And this highlights a sad truth. With enough beanbags and enough time, one of those beanbags is going to get through, right? Statistically. As a defender, how often do you have to be successful? 100% of the time. An attacker only has to be successful once to win the prize. All right, another way we can protect ourselves, we can minimize the attack surface. And what I mean by the attack surface, I'm going to put all these bullet points up here, is really all of the things that make up whatever you're storing, however you're storing your assets. So in terms of WordPress, that's your third-party plugins, that's your theme and all the code that goes into that. It's MySQL and all the code that goes into that. It's the web server and all the code. It's the operating system and all the code. It's all of those things. All of those things are attack surface. Minimizing an attack surface means either protecting a layer of it, somehow blocking it from being accessed, or getting rid of stuff. So what does everybody like to do with plugins? Install and maybe deactivate because they're not using them, right? But they never delete them. What kind of digital pack rats? It doesn't matter that it's deactivated. It is still a potential vulnerability. So one way you can minimize the attack surface is to get rid of stuff you are not actively using. Get rid of third-party plugins. Get rid of those things. If you're on a server where you have things installed that you're not using, remove those and minimize that attack surface. And I've got a cute little model here that's demonstrating minimizing. If, again, the threat is getting wet, this little model here has minimized the attack surface by blocking the attack surface. She's also modeling defense in depth by having both an umbrella as well as a raincoat. All right, next one up, principle of least privilege. It's when someone wants access to your data or something wants access to the data, you give them the permissions that they need in order to perform the job. And you do it for a limited amount of time and with the bare minimum of permissions that they need. And then as soon as they're done, you remove them. All right, so hopefully none of you are giving your general users administrative access. You're laughing. Hopefully, you are not logging into your WordPress systems with an administrator account unless you're logging in to perform an administrative duty. Always log in with something else. But let's go farther. Let's go into the systems themselves. Where does WordPress need to write files to? What's that? Uploads for sure. Maybe WP content in general. But does it need to upload into WP admin? Does it need to upload into WP includes? No. So why would you allow write access there? We can minimize or reduce those principles, that privilege, by saying, okay, in these areas, these are read-only. And that's one of the things I really like about our sponsor, Pantheon and Platform. Their systems, by default, those areas are read-only. You cannot read or you cannot write to those areas. So even if you have a vulnerability where they've uploaded a file, they can't put it there. Now, we could even argue about how really the only place we need to upload is the uploads directory. Well, let's say I can get a file into the uploads directory. Do you ever need to execute a PHP file or any other file directly from the uploads directory? No. So remove the execute permission from that area. Again, both Pantheon and Platform automatically disable that ability. So even if an attacker is able to get a file up there, they're not going to be able to do anything with it. Again, setting those minimum permissions. The next is be paranoid. It's not a matter of if, it's not a matter of when. You are currently being attacked as you sit here. We've gone way beyond the when part. You are actively being attacked. If you don't know it, go and ask your server admins for some access logs. You will see you are constantly being probed. But paranoid has kind of a negative connotation, so let's say skeptical. Be skeptical. Treat all third-party code, and I'm talking all plugins, all themes that you did not write by hand, as tainted. Treat all data that you accept into your systems as tainted, as hostile, as actively trying to hurt you. All right. So when someone says, "Oh, I want to install a plugin," your default answer shouldn't be yes. It should be, "Let's evaluate it. Let's make sure that it's okay to bring it in." In addition, be skeptical of your users. Remember those 6,500 breaches I talked about? 73% of them were in some way caused because a user received some type of malicious email. I believe Mikey, I'm not sure if he's in here, Mikey has a talk tomorrow specifically about the human element in information security. And I strongly encourage you to see that session. What's that? Can't hear me? Time? I'm out of time? I gotta speed up? Okay, I'm out of time. So, humans remaining. Let's see. The next part is, I think that's about it actually, as this goes. So the last piece then is make sure you understand that security is not a checkbox. You can't just check it off, say I'm done. It is a continuous process. Come back and reevaluate all the time. I also have homework for you. As you go back, make sure that as you are working with these assets, that you're thinking to yourself, how can I minimize the risk? How can I reduce the risk to my university? Because any way you look at it, security is all of our responsibilities. Sorry, I ran out of time. I was flustered there. So I am Paul. Last name is Gilzow. If you remember how to spell my last name, you can find them. Gilzow everywhere on the internet. There's like 15 of us in the US. If you get one of the other ones, they'll get it to me somehow. And again, not just for me, but for all of our speakers, both before me and all the rest of the weekend, please make sure you go submit that speaker. What did I just say? Session feedback. It's not only important to the speakers themselves to learn, but it's also important to WPCampus to make sure we're providing you with sessions that are valuable and relevant. And that's it.